It is now 6:01. I will call the Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, April 9th, 2025 to order. Paul, Chance, Steve, myself, Gary, here, Jeff, present, Jared, here, Larry, here, Gary, Butts,
Absent. I don't think he'll be here tonight.
right. All right. Public participation. Public participation allows citizens to be heard on any agenda and non-agenda item. The public may also comment during the public participation section of each item. The Planning Commission shall make no decisions or consideration of action of citizen comments for items not on the agenda, except to refer the matter to the village staff for administrative consideration or to schedule the matter for Planning Commission consideration at a later date. And we do have one item listed for Sullivan property presentation. I guess, is there any others before the Sullivans go? Oh, all right, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you very much. So Maren is going to drive the slides there, but hopefully everyone can see. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting us, for letting us come and present today about our property and the unique opportunities that it presents for the community. Next slide, please.
Yeah. Oh, all right, there we go.
There we go. For those of you who don't know us very well, I think we know most of you here right now, but my husband, Dan Sullivan, want to say something about yourself? He's owned Sullivan Landscaping since 1978. Lived here since 75. How's your chance to speak?
Yeah, well, I thought you were going to be talking just like at home.
Okay. Dan bought the property, the initial portion of the land that we own to the south of the Petrie subdivision in 1986. That's information isn't on there, but he's got quite a bit of expertise over the last 40-some years. He's been in business in mitigating water issues and planting native habitat, land restoration, and designing for wildlife. So he brings a lot of credentials to the enterprise that we're launching on, the Driftstead Nature Conservancy. I've been a village resident since, Belleville resident, I should say, since 1998. And I am a professional educator by trade and work primarily in health education. And I've been a board member of both the senior citizen here, group here in town, as well as the Badger and the Sugar River Trails for several years now. So I've tried to, we both have had a long history of engagement with the community. Next slide, please.
All right, so it takes a minute.
For those of you who haven't had a chance to really check out the south side, beyond the cornfield near the Catholic church there, the outline in yellow are the parameters of our property. You can go on Google Maps, that's a live link if you want to take a look at it. And of course, to the north of that is the 60-some acres that is going to comprise the new subdivision. So you can see a blue line going through, going northward on the right-hand side there. That is an easement between our property and the Cosgrove subdivision that we one other person. But you can see that it encompasses almost 100 acres there. Next slide, please. 96.5 acres is exactly the exact number. We own about 40 acres of wetlands, 40 of mature woodlands, 6 of agricultural land that we just recently purchased to the south that we are planning to restore from its highly compacted state. It was a cattle pen essentially before we purchased it. And then we own about 9 acres that has the house on it and the outbuildings that include, of course, the landscaping shops from which Dan. We have a 1 acre pond that was built a long time ago in the 50s or 60s that came with the property. And we have about 3.5 miles of walking trails and woods. Next slide, please. All the wetlands were restored by Dan from somebody's attempt to make it into farmland. It was not very successful. The unique things about our property is that it straddles the glaciated and the driftless divide. So it has a number of really interesting microhabitats in it. We've had 2 site visits, one by Groundswell out of Madison and one by the Southern Wisconsin Land Conservancy. And they were able to help us identify some really interesting features and species within those habitats. So these include things like a bluff, a little cliff there, a southern sedge meadow that we've got some unusual orchids, marsh orchids growing in. And the bluff area harbors some unique club mosses and ferns. So there's quite a nice diversity of flora and animal life in there as well. Another unique microsystem is the Ross Crossing Creek. This is a distributary of the Sugar River. And like the Sugar River is a designated cold water trout stream. So we have had people catch trout in Ross Crossing Creek. The Ross Crossing Creek has 2 small fish in it, the least darter and the redfin shiner. One's on a watch list and one is on a DNR species of concern list as well. The Ross Crossing Creek connects up with the Brooklyn Wildlife Area as well. So if you go back, we'll have an opportunity to look at another map in a minute. You'll see that the Ross Crossing Creek runs from the west side of CC all the way through our property and ends up in the Brooklyn DNR Wildlife Area. Next slide.
Sorry.
In
Thanks.
2021, we had a call from the DNR. From an aerial perspective, they had identified the wetlands as one of the largest and more pristine ones in the area that they could see. They had seen the growth and restoration work over time. So they came and they did an analysis of all the plant life and the wildlife in the area and came up with a very long list. This is just one piece of the list, listing every single plant that they found, every single weed, sedge, you name it. And they ranked it on the basis of what they call the conservation value. So that right-hand column, you can't see it. Hopefully you'll get a chance to look at the slides in more detail later, but a value of 4 or above is considered highly desirable to preserve. So we had a lot of plants on that list that they want to try to preserve at the statewide level. That, what you're looking at there is Angelica. That's our pond, and that's one of those plants that, while not necessarily endangered, is rare enough to try to nurture. Next slide, please. This next slide, oops, there's a lot now, I thought. So the Ross Crossing Creek and our property lies right in the middle of what we call the Sugar River, Middle Sugar River corridor. And Belleville itself lies in the middle of that corridor. I would argue that Belleville plays a vital role in protecting that corridor for a variety of reasons. You're talking the Sugar River, you're talking like Bellevue, and all the natural assets that surround it. There's a reason that the Badger Trail is so popular. You know, it's got just incredible beauty in this area. Next slide. This is the same aerial view a little bit farther out of the Petrie properties that the developer has purchased surrounding Belleville. You can see that Petrie has very smartly purchased properties along the Sugar River, that west side property, the Donald Fay property. And of course, on the west side, that used to be a larger footprint, the north side right along the Badger Trail, and of course on the south side, the Badger Trail. The point is that Petrie has properties all around the Sugar River corridor. And I think it's really important personally that he recognize the value of the natural assets of the area, and that we, to some extent, ask him to work with the village and with us as landowners to be thoughtful about how to mitigate the prospective impacts that his developments could have on these natural assets. And Belleville, you, as the Plan Commission and village, has a central role to play. Next slide. So the Belleville Development Plan has a couple of goals in it that align with this this idea that Belleville as a village and a community has got to be a protector of those natural assets. So the first is to protect the natural environment and agricultural setting to the greatest extent feasible in new development. Specifically, there's a commitment to minimizing the impact of what's here? This is where my age gets the advantage of me. Minimizing the impact of the site development and infrastructure improvements on the natural environment. And the action items associated with that are to address opportunities for redevelopment and infill development where they exist to preserve surrounding natural environments. And then number 10, encourage natural landscaping and conservation subdivision design as site appropriate. We've chosen to partner with the Southern Wisconsin Land Conservancy. They have on their staff and on their board experts in how to do some of that natural management of the environment to mitigate the effects of development. Next slide, please. Another goal in your development plan is to preserve and protect the environmental corridors, native vegetation, tree canopy, et cetera, consistent with the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan and village ordinances. Next slide. And the same goal too there, to explore areas to expand trail and natural resource access and plan for improvements that better connect residents to these resources. For a long time, we've had a north trail along the border of our property and what used to be Phil Fay's farm and what's to be the subdivision. That provides natural access from the Cosgrove subdivision over to the Badger Trail. And we've been permitting certain friends to use that corridor. We have probably 50, 60 people that use it on a regular basis. I suggest that this is an opportunity, an asset that we have that potentially we could leverage to meet this goal with the village of Belleville. Next slide, please. And then one goal that's kind of tucked away under housing is that the new neighborhood and subdivision development should include a mix of housing types, sizes, and price points. I'll be frank, I'm not seeing that on the current plan that's been submitted to the village. And then supporting gradual increases in densities in areas that allow homeowners to age in place and home buyers to generate additional income through like grandparent apartments and things like that. That seems to be the reference there. So Dan and I would like to age in place. There is a disproportionately higher number of seniors in Belleville who have potential to be displaced as growth accelerates around here. And this is something that I think, again, Belleville has made a commitment to consider the entire mix of development. Next slide, please. So our goals in establishing a conservation easement on our land are first and foremost to mitigate the immediate impact of the subdivision development on our property. So this means runoff, nutrient runoff and erosion on our wetlands. And then to preserve the wetlands and native habitat. Again, we are working with the SWLC to put this easement on our land. It should be complete by the end of the year. And then we are applying for a Ducks Unlimited grant. They get money from NACA, the North American Wetlands Act. And we are hoping that we can get one of their sub-grants to help fund this endeavor. But the rest of it is funded by us. Our third goal, to preserve the Sugar River corridor and glaciated driftless habitat. We have talked and got a commitment from the Upper and Lower Sugar River Watershed Associations to work with us on this. I've been talking to the Ice Age Trail Alliance, and they are interested. They plan to expand the corridor from the Ice Age Trail and from the Brooklyn Wildlife area so that they can have a bigger footprint to preserving that middle Sugar River area. And then finally, and maybe this should have been first, preserving the Belleville community's quality of life. We really believe that the presence of a series of natural assets like this can help improve and maintain quality of life. Next slide, please. So what are we doing? We're establishing the Drifts Ed Nature Conservancy. It's a not-for-profit 501c3. Its goals are going to be preservation and conservation, not just of that land, but also to teach people about sustainable land restoration strategies, engage in public education that ranges from natural habitat restoration, again, kind of an offshoot of what Dan has been doing for quite some time. And then capitalizing on my background in public education for such a long time. We'll be doing natural habitat restoration, sustainable land management education, and also outdoor activities. We're having 50 kids come from the middle school here in a month, come and do some service work on our land, but also learn a little bit about what's the difference between a native species and species. We're going to be a demonstration site for agricultural permaculture. We can have another conversation about what that means, but you can expect us to see us at the farmers market, maybe not this summer, but certainly the next summer with our perennial crops, mostly the several hundred daunting asparagus plants that we planted a little while ago, but hopefully everybody likes asparagus. We planted hazelnut trees, chestnut trees, and we're looking at a couple of other things as well. And then again, maybe this should have been first, maintain Belleville as a safe and healthy environment for all community members to age in place. In addition to kids, school kids, we also want to really engage the senior community and make sure that they have some regular access and education as well. Next slide, please.
On you. Yes.
So a quick review of those goals: mitigate runoff and erosion on wetlands. These are just some photos of our wetlands. That's a deciduous holly on the left, Jerusalem artichoke on the top. You can see one of our trails. Next slide. I really encourage people to come out and take a look. We love to invite all of you and have you all out. Preservation to the left, you can see the cliff, the little bluff there where all the club mosses and fern are. Those are the groundswell folks coming out and taking a look at that. You can see a little tree frog hiding away. The peepers are really something in late April and May. And then once again, Angelica on the right. Next slide, please. There's a lot more out there than you might think. Again, I encourage you to come out. We're cohabitating with a colony of beavers who we regularly have to sort of confront and negotiate our landscape with. That's Dan and our dog Marble working on trimming down their largest dam. We have neighbors, friends, again, educational groups, not-for-profits come out. So we hope to expand on that with the not-for-profit. Next slide, please. And then we do allow people to come and use our property for recreational purposes. I mean, it's mostly family and friends, and we have a lot of people who walk in our woods, use those trails, and as well as the North Trail between Cosgrove and our property. Sorry, I skipped that. This one here, this is our many asparagus plants and some hazelnut trees. Go ahead, here on next slide. So again, you can see the view from the bluff. We've got lawns where we can do croquet and other activities. Lots of trails. So just to wrap this up, next slide, please. Our biggest concern, the reason that we're focusing on this today and trying to emphasize how much of an asset this could be to the community, is that we do see some specific threats to our property. There's no natural buffer between the subdivision and the wetlands. And even a 50% increase in the impervious area of that 65 acres slated for development could overwhelm the proposed stormwater outlet that is currently designated to be in the southeast portion of that property. Because the wetlands are sensitive, and particularly the Rouse Crossing Creek, to changes in temperature, there's a need for thermal monitoring. And the solutions are either to move the outlet and design a park along what we would love to see is a park along the south side of that property as a buffer, or to augment the area with native vegetation that can serve as an infiltration barrier for the wetlands as the water moves through. And that's actually less expensive than most solutions that involve concrete and more. So again, the experts are the people at the Southern Wisconsin Land Conservancy that have done this work for decades in Northern Illinois and South Central Wisconsin. Runoff, the undiluted phosphorus and salt from the driveways destroys wetlands. I mean, there's nothing worse than salt for wetlands. And then unplanned pedestrian pathways. We thought long ago we had gotten rid of the vodka bottles that we found down by the pond, but no, we anticipate with this subdivision coming that there's going to be more of that. So the real issue is mostly that pedestrians, if they're not, we don't control where they can go and carefully negotiate this and plan for where they're going to be, they can bring in and spread more invasive species. And they also, we have nests of cranes, a lot of wildlife, woodcocks and snipe are out right now and they're breeding. We want to be sensitive about not disturbing their habitat. Next slide. So the takeaways, first of all, you are the Plan Commission, you are the board, and you are the ones who ultimately make the decisions about the design and the requirements. And just a reminder to everybody that developers come and go. Sorry, some of them stay. But developers come and go, and we're left with the consequences of that. So I just really urge people to think about this. And I'd also argue that the main takeaway is the presence of the conservation land enhances the Belleville community and protects that corridor, the green space, the ecosystem preservation, but also, again, those pedestrian routes and more immediate access to those assets. And that without careful design, the subdivision has the potential to negatively impact our conservation land. I've mentioned stormwater erosion, impacts of traffic and street maintenance shouldn't be taken lightly either. The Wisconsin DOT estimates that there are over five actually, car trips per day per household in the state. So you multiply that by 250 and you get, over 1,200 additional trips per day. So that's going to make a big impact. And how do you pay for this? Residential development generally does not pay for itself. Usually it's business development that is going to increase tax revenue. You, I'm sure, know that places like Oregon just turned down a referendum that would have funded additional police and fire resources for that community. So we just want to urge you to think about this and again, reiterate, this doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. This isn't either the development or preservation. This can go hand in hand, but it does mean there needs to be dialogue. So we are here for dialogue. We're here for Belleville and to try to be an asset that's the village leaders. Next slide, please. And we invite you to come out, take a look at what we're talking about. I think of the people in the room. I think maybe Connie's the only person in there. So
I'd like to add a couple of things. Those 12 points of the goals were actually written by the village, by the board, as their plan forward for future subdivision. Once the subdivision is there, there's no turning back. You don't have the green space at all. You never will. The name of the subdivision is Belleville Trails.
Badger Trail.
Badger Trails. Let's have some trails, not streets. And that trail is almost already there. And what we'd like to see is that riparian street strip where it slopes, it goes towards the wetland. It's about 100 foot wide. Subdivision back here that Ed and Rick Francois did, they put a 100-foot strip between the houses and the river. Basically, the wetlands is more sensitive than the river. The river is where our sewage goes. Wetlands stops sewage from going to. That's what we would like to see there. We're not here to stop the subdivision or anybody. We basically like people. It's going to be full of people. But we want those people to enjoy where they live. We want that green space. And we want to protect the wetlands. We aren't going to own it forever. We are going to protect it forever. That's That's what the conservation easement. As long after we're gone, that will be there. So same way with the subdivision. But those are your goals that were written several years ago. I don't recall when, but I like the goals. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
We have no idea how long we'll be around, but we would love to leave a legacy and for the community. Looking at the long-term vision.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It took a lot of time.
Any other public comment? Moving on to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. No separate discussion of these items unless a commission member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as the first item after approval of the consent agenda. And we have one item on the list, the approval of the minutes from the March 12th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. Next item on the list is the chair report. I didn't know I was going to be chair today. I don't have a report, but anyone else have anything they'd like to say? All right. Staff and consultant reports.
You don't have anything additional at this time?
Got them already.
Good. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully I don't mess this up. Never done this part before. Public hearing on the additional use permit request authorizing electrical distribution substation at the property located at 511 East Pearl Street. So I guess I have to open the public hearing. It's open.
Oh, open the public, it's 6:28.
All right.
All right. Go ahead. The public hearing was published in the Post Messenger Recorder on March 20th and 27th. I've included the affidavit of publication as part of the agenda packet. It was also posted on Village Hall, the public library, and on the website on Friday.
Any visitors wishing to speak at the public hearing?
Just like to know where it is.
Let's see, my backyard.
It's our yard.
It's my backyard. Ours too.
I guess I'm supposed to read this statement. So this is the time for the public to provide input on the aforementioned topic. After the public hearing closes, the planning commission will discuss and potentially take action. We will now take comments from the public. Please wait to be recognized and state your name for the record. So, sorry, we kind of skipped that, but
Okay.
I guess I'm supposed to read it. So Connie was wondering where it was.
It's right here.
Red box.
It's this red box. So this is Sugar River Park. This is the red box where I.
And you don't live in the house you used to live in? Or are you the one adding on to that?
No.
No, they're not here.
They're not.
They're not,
Consider adding on.
okay, I'm confused.
Our backyards and his are joined.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you go to the dump,
yep.
it's on the right side instead of, it's that substation down
Oh,
It's in, yeah. It's fenced in.
there. If you go straight ahead on Pearl, you go right smack into it.
Okay, I got it.
There's already been a semi down there, got caught. Because they won't put a dead end sign up down there. I've asked for one, I don't know how many times. In the meantime, we get semi stuck back there.
I had one question on that.
What's your name?
Janice Hinton. how is this gonna affect our land values? Because you see all the time, your values go down because we already have lost over 50% of the value of our house because of a flood that we had nothing to do with and was totally the village's fault, to be honest, and now our house is in a floodplain and we can't even get flood insurance.
Just gotta pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to pay $15,000 a year, we can get flood insurance. And so I'm wondering how much of an effect this is going to have on our value. We lost value when they expanded the sewage plant. We lost value with the flood. And now you're putting in a substation, expanding a substation that when I've done research on this on the internet, there's questions of voltage and risk factors involved. What's being done to mitigate any possible risk factors?
So Lion is here, and after we get done with the public hearing, they can present information and answer any questions.
That was all I had on it, but just how much money we've lost in the value of our house every time something happens.
Are there any other comments? Are there any other comments? I asked 3 times. And are there any other comments? I now close the public hearing at 6:33 PM.
Yeah. Next side.
Okay. What?
Oh, he was asking about the next side.
Oh. Discuss and consider the conditional use permit requesting authorizing an electrical distribution substation at the property located at 511 East Pearl Street. And there's an application and staff comments.
So if you guys wanted.
Sure.
Go ahead and.
So nice to meet all you. I'm Jessica Barr with Alliant Energy. We are proposing to rebuild our existing substation that is currently. As part of that, there's the planning commission, I don't know where you want to put this, but the planning commission already got there. This is part of their packet information. So our existing footprint is like right in here. The existing size of the substation is 120 by 90, and we will be increasing the fenced in area to 200 by 160. So like I stated, the original location, the footprint is right here. And WP&L owns all this land. We're not purchasing any additional land to rebuild our substation on site. Here's East Pearl Street, and here is Sugar Ave. You can go right through here and then you get onto the city or village property. So what we're planning on doing is using the driveway, changing it from, so it's right in front of East Pearl Street. And then we will have a bioretention pond right here with landscaping, which I don't have that picture, but you guys have it in your packet. There is landscaping proposed. Let me just grab it quick. So there'll be in the front to kind of talk about like what you would see is there is, let's see. There's gonna be some lilacs, some honeysuckle, junipers, and then some hydrangeas. all placed within, we have a whole row going right in front. And then a bunch of clusters right here, clusters in the back, cluster here, and a cluster there. So we're looking at that as being a visual blocking of the substation itself.
Is that where the entrance is to the village buildings, or are you talking?
To the north of that.
Yeah, right now there's a gate opening. There's like a wooden fence. And then there's a gate opening. I believe that's because it's straight across from East Pearl. So if you just continued right down, that's where the driveway entrance will be.
Because you confused me when you said Sugar Avenue, because that doesn't exist.
Oh, okay,
It's
So-
there, but it doesn't exist.
Yeah, sugar.
Okay. okay. So yeah, just directly across from East Pearl Street.
That's why we always get semis coming down there, because I think Sugar River's done. That street's there.
They can get it through there.
Yep.
So again, we're not purchasing additional land. This is all WPNL or Wisconsin Power and Lights property. There'll be what we call a control building back here. That houses like all our metering and infrastructure like that, that controls what these guys do in the middle here and how much power people are drawing. That's how we get our information. Instead of, there'll be 2 transformers in here, as you can see. The fence we're proposing is exactly what the village already has up. So I guess, are there like additional questions or comments?
Will this be good enough for what our future might be with all the buildings being built here in town?
Yes, yes. That's another reason why we need to expand our substation site. You guys have growth in your future. So
That retention pond there,
yes,
you'll move back your existing substation farther then, and so that will be, how big is that buffer then? So there'll be a little bit more space between residential areas and then the
Yeah.
substation?
Yep,
I can't.
I don't, right. See a measurement.
Well, I know,
Cause that's 200 feet.
The fence, this portion right
My
here, just
scale
for
maybe.
scale, this is 200, so 50-ish, maybe?
Going back towards the sewer plant more.
Substation will
Yeah.
be pushed back east, right?
towards the treatment plant.
Yes, yep. Yep. Questions? We're looking to rebuild in the late spring of 2026. Is our construction kind of window.
Take you to rebuild it all?
We planned for like a year.
Will there be any, like, I assume planned outages and things like that, or?
I don't know if we have.
Dave Herzog, substation design engineer with Alliant Energy. No, there's no planned outages with the design. You can kind of visualize on this drawing. We have space to put the control building at a time without impacting the existing substation. And our plan would be to bring the transmission line on the south side in first to serve the new control building, move all of our distribution over to that new switchgear enclosure. And then we can break out the existing substation and finish that north portion after that. So no plans for outages during the project.
About the traffic. We have a terrible time with your trucks coming up and down our road at 90 miles an hour. I'm exaggerating, but they're way over the speed
Especially when,
limit.
well, it's when during emergencies, I think.
But they do
Others
tend to
don't.
speed right. Because once they hit the stop sign, just hit it wide open and go. 'Cause it's-
Yeah, so I mean,
It's gonna be a lot of
Construction.
construction.
Yes, construction equipment will be using the road. That will be our access.
It's the only entrance.
Right.
Sorry
I
if I
mean-
missed this. How long is the projected project to take?
About a year. I mean, late spring of 2026 through the year, on and off. There'll be highs and lows that go with it. I mean, if you bring certain equipment in, there'll be more commotion. When there are just a couple of other things that they're trying to just get, it won't be as busy. So it'll kind of ebb and flow with the traffic situation.
Yeah, maybe just to add on to that, that's the main construction window we would be targeting would be third and fourth quarter of 2026. That's when we would target having the new control enclosure be delivered and the major part of it.
What about the heavy equipment on the roads back there going back and forth? These roads keep, they're heavy equipment. They're gonna tear up the road.
So we have worked with other villages and boards on any damages that potentially could happen. We usually, what I like to do is I videotape the road. We know what it looked like prior to.
That section was just redone not that long ago. That's why we want flood. Because the road work, that's not there. It took away a berm and dropped the road 3 feet.
3 feet, put everything in our yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that would be on the line to fix it. Damaged.
That's how we've handled things in the past.
Is this what Brooklyn's doing over there?
Brooklyn substation?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what they're adding on there,
Mhm.
how's that size up to ours?
Do you remember the footprint of Brooklyn?
Theirs is a single transformer substation rebuild, so this would be larger
Wow.
than the Brooklyn one.
But when you're thinking that we also on Brooklyn, we're leaving the existing in place right now, so we don't have to take outages, and we're building all new to the back.
Okay.
When you're talking your level of disturbance, we're able to stay within the wastewater in here.
Okay.
Whereas Brooklyn, you're seeing farm field ripped up.
Uh-huh.
So I see in the retention pond that there's an example of a danger buoy in it. Is this expected to have water in it year round or not?
That area does flood really bad.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know off the top of my head if it's designed as a wet or dry detention basin. We'd have to work with our consultant and get back.
So what makes different if it is a wet retention basin? I mean, you've got trees and things planted around it. You put a fence around it or not? Is that something we would want? Keep kids out of it or not?
Is that inside the fence or outside the fence?
It's outside the fence, so I think, I would think of it like the retention ponds on the west side,
Yeah.
that it would be kind of natural area. Actually would give a visual buffer to the actual substation itself, right? So if you're
Right.
looking at it from the west, that it, like, that would be a bit of a buffer that you wouldn't just see fencing and.
fence.
It's not that your substations aren't beautiful works of art. I don't know that everybody wants to live right next to one necessarily, so, that's my guess. But it doesn't look
Yeah.
like it's in the fence.
No,
And I don't
it
think we
would
would need to have it, and it looks like it's fairly sloped, so I'm assuming that the sloping would suggest that there's probably gonna be water in it, I would think, but that maybe. I'm definitely not the engineers. But it looks to me like it probably. would.
So I will jump in now. Karen's telling me to jump in now. I did my review of this, and then we spoke about it at the village board meeting. And conceptually, the board approved granting an easement for the stormwater pipe heading directly from the northwest corner of your property from that retention pond to the sugar. So I imagine that would probably alleviate any overflow with the pond anyway. But otherwise, in my review, we were able to go over the couple of issues that I found, and everything was fixed. There's a few different recommendations on here, but they mostly have to deal with timing and permits and that kind of thing. I did forward on to Kevin, and Kevin provided his feedback. Almost all of it stormwater and erosion related. And then I sent out the fire as well, but didn't hear anything back. So.
I'm just reading the staff comments. I wasn't. If anyone else has anything?
Question if nobody up there does. The existing line that is there that comes out of it that goes to the south.
Transmission line.
Yeah. Does that have to be upgraded at all, or is anything going to be done with that, or?
Yeah, good question. You can, so the south part of the substation, we have a new structure here. That transmission line will leave the substation to a new pole where I'm pointing here.
Okay.
And then it will continue along the same ATC corridor and basically transition and pick up. I think it's somewhere around where I'm hovering, where ATC's existing transmission line is. So that would be the path.
So ATC doesn't have any plans of changing that line or anything that you're aware of? It's good enough for what you're doing, in other words.
Correct. Nothing past,
Right.
yeah, taking it to the new substation.
Yes. There you go.
Yep.
Okay.
And just in case we didn't cover it, the benefit of the second transformer here is for reliability. We tried to have every substation transformer we have distribution circuit ties to a different one. In case there's an issue with that transformer, we can go in and serve that load from an adjacent substation. With Belleville, the other substations are just too far away to adequately back up the Belleville transformer. So now we have a local transformer that can back it up. If there's ever any issues or planned maintenance, we can just switch over from one transformer to the other.
There be any additional noise coming out of this? Sometimes you can hear the humming pretty loud.
We wouldn't expect more noise, anything the same.
And those days that you're hearing that are usually kind of like misty or humid days. That's when you'll hear more of that.
It drives our dogs nuts.
The comment that I see here from staff comments, but one that sticks out to me is the considering the use of a solid pipe under the entrance drive. Concerns that trucks may crush a perforated pipe.
You guys get the MSA letter and everything?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think there were
But
some comments related to like a silt fence on the north and west sides of the site as well. Just because to others' points, like that does get wet over there, so you're gonna have some potential erosion issues.
Motion to approve the conditional use permit request authorizing electrical distribution substation at a property located at 511 East Pearl Street. Taking into considerations the comments from staff and MSA, primarily for the erosion and the pipe considerations.
I'll second that.
So, second by Katie.
Ian, there's something in your letter relative to the applying for the permit from a timing standpoint.
Yep, just general timing for providing us with updated plans prior to pulling the permits, making sure the permits are pulled. I think it's put December 2026 and allowing for 24 months from that period. Or basically the CUP would be null and void.
CUPs to 12 months.
I was gonna say that's a bit on building permits just for 12 months.
Well, building permits, you pull a permit, you get 12 months to complete it, but the CUP as well is only 12 months now. But they have 12 months to start to pull the building permits, yeah. So if you approve the CUP and we actually would have approved the resolution next month in May, and then they would have 12 months to pull those permits within that time frame.
There's nothing really to adjust the motion.
No, not that I'm aware.
Any additional comments? This can just be a voice vote, right? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion passes.
Yeah, are beautiful.
On to old business. Discuss and consider resolution 2025-02.
Okay, so this is the resolution for the CUP that you guys approved last month. We'll see a lot of these in the next couple months as we approve conditional use permits. And the following month, we'll pass the resolution that we then send to the register of deeds. This one specifically was for big cats, for outside the structure, what would we, temporary structure.
Temporary.
Words, words are hard, sorry. But yeah, that's what we're basically, you approved the application last time, this is just the resolution. Ian wrote it.
Yeah, this is just the actual legal document that will be filed with the register of deeds and the property that outlines the conditions that you guys put on. Just other standard language.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-02.
I'll second that.
Other comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion passes. Moving on, new business. Discuss, consider certified survey map application for 511 and 513 Village Drive.
I can talk.
You go ahead.
I'm just having an off meeting, I guess.
Go ahead.
So TMO Enterprises, owner of the property at 511, 513 Village Drive, applied for a certified survey map, basically a zero lot line survey map, to split the one structure and one lot into two. Right now it's in a multifamily zoning. It's allowable in that zoning district. I don't see any issues at all with the CSM as it was provided. Approved.
Precedence has already been set anyway. It's discussion a while ago. So I'll make a motion to approve the certified survey map application. Second.
Discussion? None, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item, discuss, consider site plan for 625 West Church Street.
This is another, what I think is a pretty easy one. This is for the school pool splash pad area. Sequoia Builders is the contractor the school is using to install a shelter structure, 20 by 36. I marked it on the map. Sorry, the formatting on this memo is abominable for some reason, but it's going right in between the play sets and the southern fence line of the splash pad in the grassy area. It's far within the setback, so there's absolutely no issue with it.
So it's outside the fence line?
It's outside the fence of the splash pad, yes.
Just a storage building or what is it?
Nope, just a shelter.
Oh, it's a shelter.
Together.
Got it. Okay.
That's a little,
Yeah. It's like Sunday.
we need to make a motion to approve the site plan then? Okay, I'll move that we approve the site plan for 625 West Church Street.
Second.
Additional discussion? All those in favor?
I
Opposed? None, motion passes. Discuss and consider granting the zoning administrator the authority to approve.
Yeah, that didn't,
You,
didn't
I,
get all the way through. So I'm guessing there's a letter count in Reich or something.
I-
but-
that's what you wrote in there
It's
and
cool.
that's what I
It's
put
cool.
on there. Okay.
No, so basically the only thing I wanted to talk about was, perfect segue was the last agenda item. Like, there's absolutely no reason that I think that the site plan for the shelter by the splash pad should have to come to the plan commission. I think there are certain instances where things that are such kind of, low impact, I'll say, that they could be administratively approved. I don't know exactly where the cutoff is. I don't have anything in mind, but, obviously, right now, for the only exception to bringing a site plan to this body would be if it's a single or two-family residential building. Everything else has to come here, regardless of what it is, depending, in any zoning district. So a shelter for the splash pad, if trying to think of anything, like if a business wanted to put a 20 by 20 garage on 2 acres out in the middle of nowhere, like it would have to come before this body. Like just things that, in my opinion, are kind of just slam dunk, low impact, easy. How to explain it.
Do you have a model policy?
I was gonna say.
I don't have anything. I just wanted to kind of see where you were guys. If you want to see everything, great. We can keep seeing everything. That's not a problem. I don't have anything in mind. I'm just, I see that there's kind of like the thing we just talked about. It could have saved the contractor and the school district a month or more because they put in their application early. It could have saved maritime, me time. It didn't have to be reviewed by anyone else, but
I think the basis for the question though is how do we define?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I don't want you to get in trouble and I don't want the planning commission to be like, oh yeah, like you got carte blanche. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, we just put in a shelter right adjacent to the Sullivan's land that they literally came in. Yeah, right. And that unless we have something
No, I get it. That's why I'm
like
asking.
documented to sort of, and again, it's not that I'm opposed to it. I just think it takes a lot of thought.
And without something documented, we have,
No guidelines.
it depends on what the opinion is or the judgment of the zoning administrator. And if that person changes, that judgment might be different.
Yeah, in no way am I asking for a blank check, and I agree. I just don't know what you guys think that cutoff should be, because that'll kind of guide any work I do on it, if you're open to it going forward. So
I'm guessing it requires some type of ordinance amendment too, if we
yeah,
said that everything wasn't gonna come.
yeah, like I said, in ordinance, every single thing, no matter what it is, if somebody wants to put a drinking fountain on a commercial property and it's not attached to the building and it's a separate little thing, it would have to come here.
So are you just looking for a direction
This is, yeah, just to see if
to pursue identifying what those guidelines might be,
yeah,
rather than just,
stops, I guess.
yeah.
I like the idea. I think, yeah, if we just somebody's already drafted policy ordinance and
That's exactly what I do. I
see that it fits our needs.
Right.
Now, why reinvent the wheel?
I like the idea of efficiency, saving someone a month and a half is a big deal.
That's the thing is that if this had been like if they had applied for this months previously and had to go through GEC, they would have paid $300 for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It just seems not.
I think there's value in that. We just figure out what that looks like for some other communities and make sure it fits ours.
I think it's worth spending some time on, and it'll come back here for us to discuss again and make a motion to. Would that go to the board then?
So eventually,
Everybody's changing it.
have to be a public hearing here. It's different changing the zoning code, but yeah, public hearing here, you guys recommended the board finally approved. That's how that goes. But like I said, I just wanted to gauge where you guys were at with it and see if you were at all interested in the notion or if there are any hard stops or, red flashing stop signs and whatever.
Without seeing what the guide, I mean, the thing is like, where we're taking the policy from, what that looks like.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I don't have any, personally don't have any
If you guys weren't up to it at all, I wasn't gonna do anything, so.
restrictions.
Worth it. So, anything else from us to?
I'm good. I got nothing else to give you, so.
So. Entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
By Jeff. Second.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, we are adjourned at 1:07.